Just in time for the holidays, Near Mint Condition is going to talk about tabletop gaming.
So instead of talking to your family about Trump over the holidays, you can play some cool games.
Or with Trump.
Today we're going to talk about the absolutely brand new phenomenon that is sweeping the nation, tabletop gaming for adults.
For adults, like, you mean like stuff like Scrabble?
Oh, yes! Scrabble. That's exactly what I mean.
Sorry or Trouble?
My problem is, though...
Pop-O-Matic Trouble?
I never know when to plug in the controller on these type of things.
What? Have you guys even played any of that stuff?
Yes.
I'm Boss Hog.
No,
checkers.
however... I do have some D&D under my belt. I've got Axis and Allies. I think has to count for that. Anything that has house rules, right?
Axis and Allies is like Dungeons and Dragons with Nazis instead of goblins, though.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you play Dungeons and Dragons. But
what about checkers? Flying Kings? Does that count?
Well, no. So when we were all kids, we had board games like Monopoly. Monopoly Junior. So
Sorry.
Always remember to forgive and forget.
Sorry! You hit me, I'll get you back. The game of sorry. Slide, switch, and bump your way home before someone makes you. Sorry! And sends you back.
Do we understand?
Sorry! You hit me, I'll get you back. Sorry!
Causing families to hate each other for 30 years.
Sorry.
Travesty. And then, we progressed to D&D, so forth, and then we kind of dropped out of it.
Roll 20.
So you guys bought your own board games? Like, we used to make our own. We drew
Out of
them.
corn husks?
A lot of corn husks.
No, these were out of paper. Like, you would draw the different squares, and you would be like, do you want to go
Like
up because there's a big
Candyland?
fire pit? Or do you go left, there's a big fire pit?
Very
Or
seriously.
We
very
had that,
seriously.
but it was called Chutes and Ladders.
Very seriously.
My
yes.
version was
Milton
better.
Bradley.
We drew our own
It was
board
called
game.
Coming to America.
Fire pit.
You
fire
drown
pit.
in the Pacific Ocean. I'm so sorry.
No,
As long as you have a
You
six-sided
guys
die.
The
or
truck breaks down in the middle of the border, and everybody shoots you. You are dead.
Find a coyote. Advance 2 spaces.
Is this the Oregon Trail board game?
It's called Donde Estamos.
No, so it's had a resurgence. So now there are more gaming options geared towards adults. I mean, some of them are cross-platform, geared towards kids. You can play with your kids.
Yeah, my
It's
kids
fun.
love that game. Is that
This
the
is Cat
game?
Tower. Yeah, it's where you stack cats, kind of like Jenga, but you have cards that you fold that are cats.
Or things like Exploding Kittens.
Exploding
that have,
Kittens.
That have a family-friendly-ish version and a
And
not safe for work
Yes,
version.
there are boob wizards
safe for
and
work.
penises all over.
Yeah, the Infinity Boner.
Yeah, and they just
Exploding
came out
Cats
with
is
the
wonderful.
expansion called
Almost as
Imploding
powerful as
Cats.
the Infinity Gauntlet.
Imploding Cats. I didn't know about that expansion.
Yeah, I just got it. I haven't yet had a chance to play it with anybody, but there's a human-sized cat collar, like, in the game that you have to wear. It's the cone of shame. Not what you're thinking, Rob. Not
I was
what
going to say,
you're
we should play this
thinking.
right now.
So I've played some of these. These are really fun because,
They are surprisingly
it's like
fun.
playing family board games, but for adults. Like, we played the Tokaido. That's the road to Japan.
Right.
Right, where you start off in Edo, like, where you're trying to get to Edo. Edo.
It's set in Edo period, and so you're traveling a road, and it's your journey over 5 days. And it's weirdly passive-aggressive play, because you're like, you took my spot. Well, I'm going to take your spot, and I'm going to steal your money from this bank here.
Now, see, like when I was a kid, we had board games based off of the James Clavell, like, Noble House books, Shogun and whatnot. And they were horrifically complex. And they were, and I feel like, I have to say they were marketed as being family games. But I remember Dad pulling them out and trying to explain it to us, and we were like,
Well,
Little kid, I don't know what the fudge you're saying.
but the
But she
thing
reached
is,
down
I mean,
deep
like,
and touched
I've
my
been
heart.
able to play Exploding Kittens, for instance,
Right.
or Catan with my kids. and it's great.
Settlers
Right.
of Catan.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So some
game.
of these, and I remember games that were kind of like sort of like trainer wheel D&D. It had the video VHS you pop in. It kind of explains what, but
Sometime we ought to have an episode about VHS games.
Are you talking about Dragonlance? Dragon Slayer?
no.
There was one that had
It
the
talks-
VHS.
The Sunstone must be destroyed.
Quest with me to this den of evil where we will bind Raptus and drive a stake through his heart.
And
it had an
It came out
elf
the same
and
time
a-
the Hero Quest came out. And I remember that it was just because of the ad in every comic book at the time. There, like, you put a VHS in and the wizard would talk to you or something.
So basically, I can't remember what the game was.
So while this is trending now, right, the Dungeons and Dragons people are like, you motherfuckers. Right? Because this is what they've been
Well,
playing.
no.
I mean, like, all these years, they were ahead of the game, if you will.
Well, but
I remember
I wouldn't say it
playing
was ahead of the
I think
game.
that's one.
It's more
Different.
like these type of things are now more like.
Well, you
more
can find this.
mainstream acceptable.
You can find Cards Against Humanity at Target.
This
It's
is
Yeah.
true.
which is really weird. Which I mean, I don't really play that game anymore. But it's just
Cards Against
really
Humanity's
strange.
But I do think it's a little bit different because let's not shortchange D&D when we're comparing it to
Tokaido.
self-contained. And I've never played
there's
Tokaido, but
self-contained. There's elements where there's role play involved, like
Well, Dead of
Betrayal.
Winter or
Dead of Winter,
House on
yeah.
Haunted Hill. Those are elements
They have elements of role play because you
where
can
you're
play
reading,
it.
like you're playing different characters and you have kind of a dungeon master because there's a betrayal. Oh, that's what it's called.
but you
betrayal
aren't
also.
making up the story from scratch.
Not
No,
necessarily,
no.
but you can play or put yourself into character roles, and it's basically how you want to play.
Yeah,
it with
I'm
your
not
friends.
downplaying Dungeons and Dragons, but I mean that's kind of like we're saying now, like it's something new that's geared towards adults, but these things have always been there. It's just right now that they've kind of hit the market, like Target and Barnes and Noble.
People playing
You
games.
can find
that-
Werewolf in those kind of games
and
at Barnes and
Vampire.
Noble.
Yeah.
People
you know?
playing games, like a bunch of people in real life getting together playing games, is now a new thing.
Yeah,
Is the thing.
And it
It's
should have
coming back around.
never.
Instead of playing poker, which is your grandparents' thing to do,
What? We play poker.
Yeah, we play poker.
your grandparents' thing to do.
No, you're thinking
You
of
play
bridge.
No, my grandparents again played checkers in the park. That's what old black people do, and I am ready to do it. I'm ready to embrace this. Flying kids,
These are not your parents'
Sorry,
games. These
in
are
the
not the
park.
games that you played with.
white people playing fire in the park.
Sorry in the park.
Sorry, Sonny. No, the chick to the birds. Sorry,
Comes
go
with
ahead.
concrete pieces.
But these are not the games that you played with your parents, because there's games like, the not safe, for your kids.
Secret
Exploding
Hitler?
Kittens. Secret Hitler that just came out, which is the creator of Cards Against Humanity. He just had that. And I have it. It's great. Omar, you've played it
So
with
how do you
us.
play Secret Hitler?
It's basically like
Someone
Werewolf.
among you is
one of
the
you is the Secret Hitler. There's socialists. There's
Well,
I'm
there's
sorry,
like
fascists.
liberal and fascists. And it's basically you're trying to route out who's the fascist and who is the Hitler.
Resistance
find out.
is just like that. Resistance
Yeah,
is like that.
So how these games start?
Slightly
You all sit at a table and you hand out cards or something that determines who is a certain thing. Like for werewolf, it's like who is the werewolf, and everyone
Who's
has
the
the role, like the
villager.
villager, hunter, whatever. And you close your eyes, figure out who's what, and then you have to ask a
You
series.
don't have to do that anymore. Now you can just
Use
download
the
an
internet.
app, and Will Wheaton's like, "Close your eyes, villagers." Like
Well,
Will
yeah.
Wheaton talks
So-
to you because of these apps. Because he has a show on YouTube, which is
Called
where we are.
Tabletop.
It's called Tabletop. Like
Will Wheaton with an H.
the Will Wheaton.
Will
Right.
Wheaton with an H. So you have your guys, and they're trying to figure out and asking questions and doing things, trying to figure out who is the werewolf. And each person has like a set of rules on how they ask things like that. So it's a lot of fun. Now, as a video gamer, I am not as versed as these things, but we always play tabletop games at Video Game Armageddon, and it's always a hoot how loud and boisterous and how much fun these
you
things
won't-
are.
you won't get
So
loud.
werewolf, same type thing. Vampire, resistance, the resistance, same type of thing.
Yeah, and Coup is a shorter version too, and I suggest if you're wanting to get into something that's kind of like tabletop-y and you're not sure what to get Coup, because it's a really quick, it can be like 5 minutes, 2 to 6 players,
like
and it
that
goes
one.
really fast. And a lot of people that I introduced to it, they absolutely adore it.
I feel a lot of these games like Coup and Sheriff of Nottingham and Werewolf and Resistance, Secret Hitler, have to do with your ability to bullshit.
Yeah, a lot of these
Like,
games
you know,
that I do
it's
are
like
bluffing
playing-
games.
Playing bullshit.
Like, you don't have to. You get the fuck out of here. Bullshit. Right? Because it's...
We would
it's
say
the same kinda-
baloney.
Well, okay, yeah.
Well, you were polite.
Yes, I'm very polite. Piece
We
of
would
crap.
say...
Boulder Dash!
That's it there. Thank you, Dan.
We would say, mentirosos! You do not have 4 corn husks.
But it sets up. There's different styles of games. So you have player versus player, which, you know, a lot of these argument the games, they're player versus player because you're trying to win up, you know, against the other player. There's players versus the game, which is something like Pandemic, where you're playing
that's a fun one.
together as a cohesive unit against basically this game that's been structured. And then you've got, you know, individual teams breaking off and playing against each other, kind of like the Secret. Well, I mean, in a way, Secret Hitler and Werewolf, you've got the werewolves versus, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of, Betrayal on Haunted Hill. Like, I
us about
really
this.
like that game because it's kind of like...
That game, you don't know. So with Werewolf, you know, at least the
Right,
werewolves
at the
know.
beginning of the game, you know who
You're
the
gonna be
werewolf and who the
split
villagers
off.
are. In this game, you have
It's
to set...
random.
It goes through a series of events, and you set off...
You're all working together at first, basically. You're exploring this mansion, and then if you know, set off a series of events, you know, omens and stuff, one of you is suddenly going to be
the betrayer.
the betrayer.
And
But you
so
don't know
and there's
starting
different
out who it
scenarios you
is.
can be depending on what room and what item you set off. You can be like a witch that's haunting these people. These people read their set of rules on how to
Zombies.
kill the witch. You read your secret set of rules on what kind of like demons help you kill these people. And it's a really cool game because anybody can turn
Cool,
on you. I'm a big
cool.
fan of Telestrations too. Telestrations is a lot of fun, where you draw a picture. You have a phrase. You have to draw it. Pass it to Dan. Dan has to guess what my picture is. He guesses. He passes it to Rob. Rob draws the picture that Dan guesses. Tina guesses what Rob's picture is. You know, things like that. It gets really fucking confusing. Kind of like the old telephone game, right? Starts like with like, Dan, I think your shoes are nice, and ends with like, I want to stick my cock in your mouth,
That's usually how it goes.
right?
Yeah.
Because there's always that asshole there that.
Well, so like, you know, like around like Thanksgiving and Christmas, we get to play some of these type games. And one of the games that we play a lot is Ticket to Ride. It's like, you know, we always talk about like Settlers of Catan and things like that, but Ticket to Ride is cool. Like, you know, you're trying to build your train empire and connect tracks and try and get things. And it really brings out some, like all these games do, some viciousness between the family.
yeah.
Like, how are you going to put your train track around here where I can't go through? You have to charge me this money. You have to stay outside in the garage.
Shit,
You can't-
Monopoly does that. Monopoly's got people flipping tables. Fuck this!
So maybe you want to try Pandemic then. So it's players versus the board game, where you're not causing like strife in your house.
There's an easy way to win that. The same way you win global thermonuclear war.
So I highly suggest, if you're interested in gaming, take a look. There's several Kickstarters that, like Secret Hitler, that will probably be released for official, just like Exploding Kittens
started
was.
that way.
Okay.
Look on Amazon, look at the reviews, watch Tabletop on YouTube.
And
And
recommend like, you know, 1 or 2 or 3.
so starting out, I want to say Coup. Tokaido's a really good game, Sheriff of Nottingham, and you can even go with like the lesser sort of family games like Telestrations, or Quelf is a really good one to do and play with family.
And you can never go wrong with.
Thank you guys for watching another Near Mint Condition. If you like, please subscribe, comment down below, tell us what your favorite tabletop games are. And do us a favor by sharing with all your friends. Oh, and share with Will Wheaton.
Pretty sure when white people came to this country, they're like, I just have a little bit of the cold.
Here, I got a blanket.
Everyone
for you.
died.
Everyone
of yellow
died.
fever.
Yeah, he was like, here's a blanket for you.
Oh, feel so warm. Oh, I have a common cold. Oh, I'm dead. Here's my turkey. Enjoy.